Good morning and welcome to Fox 29's News Now on this Wednesday morning. We're going to get started with some world news that has some local ties. A Pennsylvania woman who was vacationing with her husband in the Dominican Republic died suddenly in her room 5 days before a couple from Maryland passed away at the same resort in similar circumstances. Fox 29's Lauren Johnson filed this report.
Well, here's what we know about her so far. 41 years old, from Allentown, a psychotherapist, and Miranda Shop Warner decided she wanted to spend her 9th anniversary with her husband in the Dominican Republic. So, according to the husband's brother-in-law, the two were clearly happy to be there, enjoying that part of the world, taking pictures and posting them to social media. And then suddenly, things took a turn for the worst. The couple checked into the hotel on May 25th. They went right to the room to get situated and comfortable. The pictures that we're showing you from that resort is from the website. Now, he says to Fox News, Miranda decided to relax with a drink from the minibar. She mixed soda with a small bottle of alcohol. Midway through the hour, a bizarre and mysterious event happened when she suddenly collapsed. Her husband, Dan, left helpless.
She was one moment taking pictures. I think she took a selfie, smiling, happy. Suddenly, she called out to Dan, and he came right over, and she was unable to breathe. She collapsed. She couldn't communicate. He did his best to try and resuscitate, to help her. As it progressed, he called for help. EMTs came, and it was all to no avail.
The State Department issuing a statement offering their condolences to the families for their loss. It goes on to say they are actively involved in these investigations in the Dominican Republic. Now, another couple died at the same resort the same day the Allentown woman checked in. Engaged couple Edward Holmes, Cynthia Day were found dead in their room at the Bahia Príncipe Hotel by a resort employee who went in the room after they failed to check out. The relatives of all 3 U.S. citizens are raising questions about the deaths, noting they all occurred suddenly and surprisingly. In all 3 cases, Dominican authorities mentioned a similar cause of death in their autopsy report, saying respiratory failure was at play here. So now a travel advisory has been issued for any Americans traveling to the Dominican Republic. An investigation, of course, will happen here closer to home for that woman's family.
And in business news this morning, the 72-hour flash sale is back at Southwest Airlines, with some round-trip tickets costing as low as $100. Fox Business's Tracy Carrasco joined Good Day this morning to discuss.
Hey, it's 7:25.
Southwest Airlines is having a mega sale, so I guess it's time to get tickets, huh, Tracy?
I think they do this a couple times a year, don't they?
2 times a year. So, yes, definitely take advantage of these deals. Of course, there are a few exclusions. So the travel time is from August 20th until December 18th. You cannot travel during Labor Day weekend. Also, Thanksgiving holiday, that is excluded. And most Fridays and Sundays. So if you're thinking of a quick weekend trip, you might have to adjust your plans. So, but you can get one-way fares starting at $49 all the way up to $200. So some good deals out there. I checked leaving from Philly. You can get to Chicago for $99 one way. Cancun, $192 one way. Nashville, $79 one way. And Atlanta, $89. So pretty good deal if you are heading to any of these cities. There's a whole bunch of cities available. Tickets are on sale at these prices until tomorrow.
It sounds like a good deal, but if you can't leave on Friday or Sunday, so you'd have to do like a Saturday to Monday trip? Or like a...
Yeah, or leave Thursday. Just adjust.
Thursday,
I don't know, maybe take an extra day off of work.
True.
It's worth it if you get that low a fare.
Yeah. Spend the money somewhere else.
Now, is Southwest the one where you just got to You fight people to
The
get
cattle
on.
call.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have to pay anything to check a bag.
Oh,
So that's nice.
And you use the bag to fight
So-
off the other passengers as you're trying to get on.
It's a weapon.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Tracy, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks. Actually,
See you tomorrow.
Southwest, Southwest is a good airline. They always have a good reputation about on time and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And moving on to your Fox 29 weather authority. The Philadelphia area is slated for a warm and humid Wednesday with some afternoon thunderstorms. Wednesday, we'll see an increase in humidity in the wake of 2 lovely dry days, and that stormy weather is expected to hit us this afternoon with some thunderstorms and carry over into Thursday with scattered thunderstorms in the morning. Sunshine will return to the forecast by Friday and Saturday, though. For the weekend, mostly sunny skies are expected with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. And here we have a current look at temperatures in our area. 65 degrees up in Mount Pocono, 70 degrees in Allentown, and a few degrees higher as we move further down south. Toms River, 74, 77 in Atlantic City, and 76 degrees in Wildwood. And we should see about a 10-degree bump by the afternoon or so when those thunderstorms are to hit our area. And here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Again, sunshine this morning will give way to some thunderstorms for this Wednesday, and which will carry over into Thursday. But we're looking for a pretty nice weekend for Friday, Saturday. A PM shower might hit us on Sunday, but other than that, the Phillies should see some good weather here at home. And don't forget to download the latest version of the Fox 29 Weather Authority app to have the latest forecast right at your fingertips. And in local news this morning, Meek Mill's lawyers will get a chance to argue the rapper's 2008 conviction on gun and drug charges that they should be overturned. Pennsylvania Superior Court granted Mill a hearing in his long-running appeal to the Richard analysis. Arguments are scheduled for July 16th in Philadelphia. Attorney Shaka Johnson joined Good Day this morning to discuss what that means.
Well, Philly rapper Meek Mill is back in the news, and he's going back to court. The Pennsylvania Superior Court has granted him a new hearing, and it's set for July 16th. Meek Mill's attorneys are hoping that his 2008 conviction on weapons and drug charges will be vacated. Last month, District Attorney Larry Krasner filed an appeal saying the judge in Meek Mill's case was biased. That judge, Janice Brinkley, denies any bias and has repeatedly refused to recuse herself from the case. But they've been working for years to get a new hearing, and it looks like this is a very big step.
Look who's here, Attorney Shaka Johnson. So, does that mean new hearing, new judge?
No, not yet, not yet. So this is sort of a little premature.
Okay.
Because this is the hearing before the Superior Court, who will ultimately decide if, in fact, he gets a new hearing, what judge, and what no one is talking about, what county, perhaps.
Oh, change of venue?
They could possibly say, you know, Mr. Mill, you are correct, right? We will give you, in fact, what you've been asking for, and let's change because Philadelphia has been sort of swept up in all this. The district attorney is obviously very invested. How about we just move you to Montgomery County or Chester County and give you a fresh start?
All right, I should know this after all these years of doing this show. I thought he did have a new hearing. Now you just said some other court's going to decide if he does get a new hearing.
So we're all getting lost in the term hearing. He was given a hearing at the Superior Court, like Alex said, July 16th, just down the street from us here. But that is in front of the Superior Court, the supervising court of Janice Brinkley. And so they will then send the whole case back down to the Court of Common Pleas, which is either right here at 13th and Filbert, or some other Court of Common Pleas for a change of venue.
So it is kind of confusing. It's a hearing before a hearing
That's
before
right.
what could be a trial.
It's a hearing to determine a new trial.
So is this good news or bad news for Meek Mill?
It actually is good news. Anytime you get an opportunity to advance and advocate for your position, it's a good thing. But it's not the thing. We'll find out on the 16th.
But it's important you said the opportunity to. What are the odds you think that they'll be willing to do a retrial?
I feel very optimistic about that because all the scuttlebutt that's been around this particular case with this one man and this one judge and now this one DA.
And more in local news this morning. A 38-year-old man is clinging to life after a shooting in Philadelphia's Germantown neighborhood. It happened yesterday afternoon at an auto body shop on the 200 block of West Rittenhouse Street. Police say the man was shot in the stomach and is in critical condition at the hospital. So far, no arrests.
Well, Philly rapper Meek Mill is back in the news, and he's going back to court. The Pennsylvania Superior Court.
And our apologies for the technical difficulties there. New details on a shooting that happened Monday night in Kensington. Police say 2 gunmen opened fire, hitting a pregnant teen as she sat in a car near Emerald and Clarence Streets, not far from a graduation party happening around the corner. The 18-year-old was struck at least 3 times, according to police. The bullets also pierced several homes and cars. This morning, she remains in critical condition.
The one that came through the mirror actually hit the window. And then when I looked at the car, it was like more than just the window, it was everything.
It's terrifying, and you know, it's heartbreaking, and it hit even closer to home for me.
Police do not believe the teen was the intended target. They're reviewing surveillance video and hope to identify the shooters. And in Montgomery County, prosecutors say they've broken up a drug and gun ring in North Wales. Here are the confiscated guns and ammo. Investigators say Gamey Hale Michael and Philip Jensen could not buy guns legally because of their criminal records. So they got a straw buyer, Monica Kumpf, Jensen's girlfriend, to buy them. Investigators say the woman bought 11 guns and attempted to buy 6 additional firearms within an 11-day time span. All 3 are now behind bars. Prosecutors say a worker at a Norristown gun shop called police when she brought several pistols back in April. And in Delaware County, police are urging people not to leave any valuables inside their cars after a series of smash and grabs in Radnor Township. Several cars parked along Lancaster Avenue were broken into on Monday afternoon. Police say the car doors were locked and the thieves smashed the windows to get inside. One victim says she left her purse with her late father's belongings inside her car, including his watch, ID cards, and charms he gave her when she was a baby. All of it now stolen.
There was so many things in that purse that meant the world to me.
You think parking in a public parking lot in a nice community that you'd be immune to having people break into your car.
Police say they're investigating a possible connection with a series of break-ins in the Eagle Village shops, which are right off of Lancaster Avenue. Also in Delaware County, 58-year-old Ellen Gottlieb is facing several charges in the death of her 83-year-old mother. Police started their investigation in January of last year when they went to check on the victim at her home in Havertown and found damage, water leaks, and a strong odor of urine. But the 83-year-old woman, whose name has not been released, refused care. A week later, medics took her to a hospital where doctors discovered she had several ulcers, sores, and wounds. They also found feces and flies inside her home. The 83-year-old was taken to a nursing facility where she later died.
Ellen, do you think your bail's too high?
This is a tragic case where a mother was inhumanely treated by her daughter, the very person who was entrusted with her care, instead leaving her mother unkept, unhealthy, uncared for, leaving her to die due to basic lack of human care.
Investigators say Gottlieb was receiving her mother's monthly pension and Social Security payments. She now faces a number of charges, including neglect, aggravated assault, and theft by unlawful taking. And moving on to national news, the former Broward County Sheriff's deputy who failed to confront the Parkland school shooter is in jail this morning on more than $100,000 bail. Scott Peterson has been arrested and is facing 11 charges, including neglect of duty and negligence. Prosecutors say even though he was on duty, he did nothing to try and stop the shooter from gunning down students and teachers. Surveillance video from the school showed Peterson running away from the building as the gunman fired over 100 rounds inside.
He needs to go to jail and he needs to serve a lifetime in prison for not going in that day and taking down the threat, and that led to the death of our loved one.
Peterson faces 100 years in prison if convicted. In addition to his arrest, he's also been fired by the Broward Sheriff's Office. His attorney says he cannot be prosecuted as a caregiver since he was acting as a law enforcement officer in an official capacity. Also in national news this morning, about 7.7 million people have been exposed by a data breach in the medical testing giant LabCorp. This affects information such as patient names, credit card information, home addresses, medical providers, and more. In a document filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, it appears the breach occurred between August 1st, 2018 and March 30th of this year. The issue stems from a breach at a third-party collections firm, American Medical Collection Agency. And effective today, the Trump administration is clamping down on U.S. travel to Cuba. New rules announced yesterday will ban cruise ships, recreational trips, and most educational travel to Cuba. Americans who violate the rules could be prosecuted. However, the Treasury Department says Americans who have already booked a flight or hotel or made another travel-related transaction will be grandfathered in. The rules are an attempt to cut off cash to the Cuban government. And in political news this morning, in a rare confrontation, Republican senators are declaring deep opposition to President Donald Trump's threatened tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Mexico. But it's unclear that they'd have the votes to stop him, and the president says they would be foolish to try. Fox's Doug Luzader has more.
The free trade Republicans are not thrilled with the president's approach here on tariffs, but Mexico is taking the threat very seriously. And President Trump in the UK this week, but talking tariffs and dismissing some of his fellow Republicans back on Capitol Hill who may oppose his move to force Mexico to crack down on illegal border crossings.
No, I don't think they will do that. I think if they do, it's foolish. There's nothing more important than borders.
Well, there is not much support in my conference for tariffs, that's for sure.
That may be an understatement. Republicans generally don't like tariffs, and Democrats oppose the president's hardline approach to the border.
I believe that he will back off when faced with the opposition among business, among his own Republicans, and when he sees what a dumb move he has made.
The administration insists the threat is real, and today officials from Mexico will be at the White House to try to head off the new tariffs that are due to hit Monday.
Mexico is doing a lot of things in Mexico. We returned in this year 80,000 people.
Mexico's foreign minister on Capitol Hill yesterday lobbying House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ahead of today's meeting. U.S. markets, which have been skittish over new tariffs, shot up yesterday, but that was largely due to the Fed, which suggested it could lower interest rates to help deal with any tariff fallout, as businesses on both sides of the border brace for Monday. And Congress is bracing for that as well, but it's not clear that Republicans in Congress have the votes to stop the tariffs. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
And on Good Day this morning, with recent deaths coming out of countries such as the Dominican Republic, we're talking travel safety this morning.
Exactly 7:32. Tropical vacations ending in tragedy. What is going on?
That's what folks are trying to figure out, because there are at least 4 cases that we've reported in recent weeks. You remember we told you about Tammy Lawrence Daly, the Delaware woman who was nearly beaten to death in the Dominican Republic back in January. See her picture on the top left. Then a Texas couple died of a mysterious illness while on vacation in Fiji in May. Now, late last month, 3 Americans died at the same Dominican Republic resort in just a matter of days. One of them, a woman from Allentown, her name is Miranda, who was on vacation with her husband. So this morning, we're going to explain what you need to know about incidents like this from the perspective of the travel expert. We have Mark Murphy here, and an attorney, Ken Rothweiler, because if something happens, what can you do? And can the hotel be held responsible?
Yeah, so Mark, the travel guy, let's start with you.
Yeah.
These advisories, you travel all over the world.
Yeah.
Do you pay attention to advisories? Why are they ever issued?
Well, they're issued in case there's an event that happens in a particular destination. So in the Dominican Republic, there's been some things that have been happening. So they put out a level 2 advisory, which they raised it from level 1. But pretty much most of the world is on a level 2. Like literally parts of Philadelphia.
How many levels are they?
There's 4 levels. So it just keeps going up. So if you get to that point where you're at the highest level, it's basically like a no-go zone. Do not travel to that country.
But the DR, that issue is a level 2?
That's a level 2. That just basically means exercise caution. Don't wear expensive jewelry. Don't wander around.
There's been crime.
There's crime. There's crime. I mean, a lot of these places are great destinations because they've got great beaches, etc. But like you take Punta Cana, it's behind a security gate. You have to enter through that security gate. It's patrolled. So if you leave that area and you go out on your own and you're hanging out in a local area, you're putting yourself at risk.
But it's important that you mention that don't wander around or if you leave, because some of these incidents happened at the resort, on the resort property.
Correct. Like the lady who was attacked.
Beaten up.
All we know at this point is she was attacked. It's obvious because she's got, terrible pictures. And she can't identify the person. She thinks it was a resort employee because she said she saw a logo on the shirt. Was it reported to the police initially? What did the resort do? We don't know any of that because this happened in January and now we're hearing about it today.
Attorney Ken, what can people do?
Depends what the facts are. Just like Mark said, we don't really know enough of the facts here. It's very sketchy as to what happened. That one couple died of pulmonary edema. What caused that? What was the problem?
They go into the room, they never come out.
Yeah, that's true.
My money on that is carbon monoxide. If you want to look at what happened there, I'm guessing carbon monoxide because he had that other individual just a few days earlier, same thing. And a lot of these properties have multiple buildings.
Right.
So was it a carbon monoxide thing? Did they not properly recognize that? And then did they even stay in the same room? That's what we don't know.
And of course, this is all it's conjecture because we don't know. There hasn't been an official ruling. But you would think if it was carbon monoxide, wouldn't more people have issues? Because it's a hotel room. There's several rooms on a floor.
It could have just been in that hotel room because a lot of them have their own self-contained units. It's not like it's like a house where it's one unit, right? So that unit could have been faulty. We just don't know. That's the problem.
And even if that's true, you may not be able to bring a lawsuit here. Remember, you have to be able to be served here. There has to be some connection to the United States. So if you go away and you're in a hotel that has no connection to the United States, you can't bring a suit here.
You're dead on. And a lot of times I hear attorneys go on that don't understand travel law, and they don't realize that, like, when that Costa Concordia sank, you would have had to go to Genoa, Italy
That's exactly
to file.
right.
And people are talking about, I'd sue him, I would do this and that. And I'm thinking, good luck, because you're out of luck.
Let me tell you, but you have to be a little bit clever. We trial lawyers, we try to figure out how we can do that. A lot of times if there's a tour group that may have put that tour together, that vacation together, you can bring it here because of the tour group has a connection to the United States. So there has to be a connection. You have to be able to serve the defendant here.
Hold on. Well, this is all. How do we protect ourselves? You're all over the world. You travel all over the world. Are you concerned about going to certain countries?
I am concerned about going to certain countries. The trip that I just took, I went to Scotland and Ireland and Wales and Norway, no problem. But some of the other places in the world that I would consider traveling to, I have major concern about that because of some of these things that go on. That one woman that, got knocked over the head and dragged and put into a hole and almost killed.
On the property.
On the property. Unbelievable.
That doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense.
And they do have security cameras at these properties.
Yeah.
And so my question is, it happened later at night, from what we've read. It happened, in between these the lobbies. My question then is, they have footage. They know who's working at that point in time. They can narrow down the list of potential suspects and then present to her, and also know the whereabouts of most of those employees pretty much anywhere you go. That's the key.
But aside from the woman, though, the people in the hotel room, the couples and the woman from our area, Can they hold the hotel responsible since they died since that's a different situation?
They would have to bring it in the DR or wherever that
Good luck with
corporate
that.
location is.
That's
the
exactly
problem.
right.
That's the
Absolutely.
Did you see what happened yesterday with Cuba?
Aye.
So what did the president do?
So basically, immediately, cruise lines can't go to Cuba.
Like
Which
boom.
is, yeah, and so to me, I understand the geopolitical reason. They're trying to put pressure on Cuba to get the hell out of Venezuela. That's the logic, right? But they're screwing up thousands of people that have planned, in some cases for years, to go on this great experience, and now they can't.
But if you're already booked, can you still go? If you have your ticket?
This is one of the questions. No, they're already redirecting the cruise itineraries.
Oh, I thought they were grandfathered in.
If it was, they specifically said if you're already booked with like a tour that has accommodations on land, or you got like a plane ticket, then you can go ahead. But they didn't mention cruises, and then we've checked again this morning, and they're already redirecting these itineraries, so people are not going to be able to go.
Redirect you to what?
Well, that's the nice thing. You can't redirect
Jamaica,
the hotel. You know, you can't move the hotel to a different island, but you can move a cruise ship to a different itinerary.
That's true.
But a lot of people will book that cruise ship and that itinerary because it's Cuba.
Well, right.
So it just stinks.
Yeah.
And I understand, both sides, but it stinks for the travel folks.
Here's something that stinks. We got to go. I'd rather just talk to you guys.
I'd love to talk to you too. It's good seeing you guys again.
Right.
Yes.
We gotta make
Great meeting
some
you.
money.
Nice meeting you too. Loved it.
And more on Good Day this morning. The red meat or white meat debate is raging on. According to a new study, eating white meat has an identical effect on your cholesterol levels as eating red beef. We tackled the debate this morning on Good Day.
I got this study that we found yesterday. And just when I thought it was okay to eat like white meat, the turkey, the chicken.
Oh, some people think that that's better for you. It's healthy for you. It goes through the system.
I said, well, if you got the high cholesterol, I don't know. Let's just ask Emily about this. Emily Rubin, who is over at Jefferson Hospital, registered dietitian. This study is confusing to me. Can you help?
I'm going to try. It is very confusing. So what they did was they compared lean red meat with lean chicken, white meat chicken, and they said that both of these two particular products increased cholesterol at the same amount of cholesterol.
At the same rate.
But it was lean. It wasn't a Philly cheesesteak. It wasn't a high-fat ribeye. So it's if you were to compare that, those meats may possibly increase the cholesterol a lot more than the lean meats.
So, a basic question, I guess. Do you eat red meat?
I do occasionally.
But just occasionally.
And that's just personal preference. I like chicken and I like vegetarian.
Are they telling us to stop eating or reduce the amount of white meat we eat?
No, they're telling us to eat a lower saturated fat diet and focus more on, if you're at risk for having high cholesterol, to try to bump up a plant-based diet, having a veggie burger, tofu, beans.
So they're saying we should cut out meat, basically, or at least reduce it.
Reduce meat, reduce high saturated fat meat. But the whole interesting concept was that both chicken and red meat both increased. It was the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL cholesterol, at the same rate. But it was minimal.
What would be a meat that's not high saturated?
If you look, actually, all these labels here, these are all relatively low in saturated fat.
So how do we determine that? If we're in the grocery store, if we're ordering, how do we know, okay, this will be a low saturated fat so I can order
So lean cuts of meat, such as filet, sirloin, 93% lean ground meat, chicken, such as lean ground chicken, 100% or 90%.
I mean, it's labeled right there on the package.
It is labeled on the package.
You're extremely lean.
Right. They
Yeah.
give you the percentages.
Now, people say if the leaner the meat, the less juicy it is because of the fat.
Right. But the study, which is just so confusing or surprising, is why would a piece of chicken that's got 1 gram of saturated fat, and a lean burger of 3 grams of saturated fat, why would that raise cholesterol at the same rate?
Here's another problem with the study. It was only over a month, wasn't it?
And I say for a month, I mean over the holidays, what do we eat for a month? It'd be surprising to get our cholesterol checked to see what they would be.
Yeah. Especially over Thanksgiving, my gosh.
Now, I do like a veggie burger.
Yeah, I mean, this is the trend, the veggie burger. They're high in fiber, they're high in nutrients, and they taste great. There's even some that actually taste like a regular burger.
They just look a little weird.
Yeah, that's a California burger. It's got edamame, it's got carrots in it. But the newer thinking is let's go plant-based because it does have there's been many studies that show positive results of decreasing cholesterol.
Maybe I don't know who was the first person that went out and killed an animal and then ate it. I mean, can you imagine the first person? Hey, Alex,
to look at it. Hey, I'm going to eat that.
Look at that thing over there. Let's kill it and eat it.
Probably Adam and Eve, right?
Well,
We had this discussion. I'm sure now people are
fruit.
in.
They ate fruit.
But not the apple. You weren't supposed to anyway.
Did Adam and
that
Eve,
went well.
is it in the Bible that they killed an animal?
I don't know. I should know that.
Probably was a lamb if it was.
Someone weigh in. Like I said, I'm sure Twitter now is going to
No,
come and let us know. Because I thought the garden was set up so they were good. They didn't need or want for anything.
Well, it's a
So they
garden,
could eat
but when you
something.
think of a garden, you don't think of animals in it.
But I think there are animals roaming around, though.
Well, yeah.
Again, maybe I need to go to Bible study this week.
Let me get up my Genesis here. When were the animals created?
Back to the study. I mean, we really want to focus on eating leaner cuts of meat. We don't want to take one study and say, oh my God, I'm not going to eat chicken,
Yeah,
I'm not going to eat turkey. Just like the whole egg controversy.
Always
You
good
can't
to see you.
Take one food. Thanks.
That's true. Not one little month study.
All right.
And more on Good Day this morning. If you love Hershey's chocolate, we have the ultimate adventure for you right here in Philadelphia. Fox 29's Alex Holly has more.
Of course.
Why don't you visit Hershey's Kitchen inside of the Independence Visitor Center, just, right over there. That's where Alex is now, down around 6th Street. Hey, Alex.
Mike, can you believe it? Hey, guys. I have not been to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I'm ashamed to even admit this on TV. But here's the thing. You don't have to go all the way to Hershey to get a little taste, if you know what I'm saying. You can come here to the Visitor Center. Look where I am. This is the Philadelphia Visitor Center, like you said, right off of 6th Street, across from Independence Hall, right next to the Constitution Center. And this is a great place. You can get information about great things to see and do here in Philly. But here's the thing. There wasn't a place to eat. You probably get so exhausted from going to the Independence Hall and seeing all the sights. You're like, man, I'm hungry. And you need to go find something to eat. But, Jim, you're here, the president and CEO of the Visitor Center.
Yes,
now we can stay right here.
Absolutely, and we can enjoy our brand new Hershey's Kitchens Cafe. We're absolutely thrilled to have Hershey's here with us in the Visitor Center. It's the final element of our complete renovation of the center, and it provides not only soups and salads and fresh foods, but also all of the Hershey's treats that everyone has grown to love.
Yeah, this is more than just the treats. I mean, there's a full menu, so thank you, Jim. And I just want to give you guys perspective. If you walk in from Market Street, go all the way to the back until you see that beautiful brown sign there, and it's on the way to the Constitution Center. So I'm going to get behind the counter here because I want to know all the good stuff that we can have. So, Matthew, you run this place?
Good morning, Alex. I do run this place with a team of 7 or 8 other people.
Okay.
We opened 2 weeks ago.
So this is brand spanking new.
Grand opening was the 29th, so we are truly brand new. It's the first of its kind standalone Hershey's Kitchens.
And it really is like a cafe. You walk up, you order. Now, is it only chocolate that we can get, or are there all kinds of things?
No, that's what's so exciting about this space is that we truly offer just about anything and everything.
I see slushies, I see pretzels.
Soft pretzels, and then we also do a number of savory items as well.
Okay.
Great sandwiches, amazing fresh salads. We have the
Now, does the salad have chocolate on it, or?
No chocolate in the salads.
I had
We like
to
create a balance, right? So there's some things here that are very, very good for you and healthy and fresh and clean. And then we also have the delicious, delectable treats to finish those meals off with.
Now, these all look great, and I see Reese's peanut butter cups. We'll get to that in a
Yes.
second. But we can also make our own s'mores.
Yes.
Well,
so
let's
this
do this.
is a tremendous experience. I'm going to ask you to put some gloves on if you'd
Okay.
like.
If you could hold the
And
microphone for me,
absolutely,
then.
I'll
then,
do
Jared,
that.
I don't know if you can see. You might need it. I don't know if you can come around.
And I know you already have your apron on, so you truly are
I'm ready to
an
get cooking.
employee of Hershey's Kitchens today, and we're
Okay.
very excited to have you.
You can pay me in chocolate. It's fine.
It's one of the great bonuses of working here.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get.
Okay,
you
I'm
need
going to
in your
put
hands.
these into the s'mores oven for us.
All right. Even though technically my hands probably just got
They're
dirty.
already pre-assembled.
Okay.
And they'll go through.
And these are big s'mores. My goodness. I don't think I've seen a graham cracker that big.
Hershey set out to make the greatest s'more on the planet, and I think that we have delivered wholeheartedly on that promise.
So there's really no campfire necessary for these s'mores.
Not for these. We can enjoy them from morning to night here at the Independence Visitor Center.
Okay.
I can show you just how easy we make them here to order, and I'll have you come over here and we can kind
kind of
do
a
one
cramped space.
together.
Okay.
It is a small space back here.
How long will it take for these to make? Because I said I'm running out of time.
A minute and 45 seconds in
Okay.
total, okay?
But once it comes out, it's pretty big.
It is. We made the graham crackers ourselves, right? These are Kraft-made graham crackers, Kraft-made marshmallow. We scoured the universe for the best marshmallow. Couldn't find one, so we made one ourselves.
So everything's made yourself. How much are these if you want to get them?
They are $9.50.
$9.50.
And
But it's a
they
pretty big s'more.
It's an enormous s'more and
Okay.
certainly perfect for sharing.
Well, this certainly looks like a great and tasty place. I may have to take a picture of my Instagram once we get the s'more all finished because they say we're running out of time. And you know what, Mike? I just saw the love of my life, so I'm going to get around this corner because I have to go meet him. I think you know who I'm talking about. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited. I'm running to him now. Wait, how do I get out of here? Oh, wait, here we go.
What's weird is she's not kidding.
Oh, my goodness. I'm not. I'm so excited. Oh. Yes, Reese's. You guys know, if you know me, I love Reese's peanut butter cups. I think they're the best candy out there, and my cup runneth over. Let's just say that.
Oh, tell me s'mores.
I think we're going to go. I may not come back to the show. Mike, we're going to walk
No, I
off into the
understand that.
distance together.
Eloping.
And this is happily ever after. A
It's
nice piece of chocolate, you know what I mean?
Oh, what a sweet love story. He walks kind of funny, but it's funny.
Oh boy, and if your kids are afraid of going to the doctors, we have a creative solution for your troubles. Good Day tackled the tricky subject this morning.
Let's get over to Cooper University Healthcare. That's where Lauren is. What are we teaching the kids with teddy bears?
Basically how to not be afraid of the hospital, how to trust doctors and nurses. So this is a group that just came in, Mike, Alex, and Karen. So here's what they do. They check in here at the front of the hospital. They get a teddy bear, and that's their patient. They tell the hospital staff why they're checking in their teddy bears, what happened, what's the injury, and then they're going to go around to different stations and learn about the process of what happens at the hospital. Dr. Goodman joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. So you guys have done this for 4 years now. What's the goal behind this program?
This is part of the outreach of the Cooper University Healthcare and the Children's Regional Hospital at Cooper in order to destigmatize hospitals and doctors to children. We want children to understand that health and well-being is part of their experience, and in order to be a successful individual when you grow up, you need to be healthy and understanding.
I think I asked you this when the last group was in here. When you see the faces of these children, what goes through your head?
Well, first of all, it's why I went into pediatrics in the first place. Children are happy. Basically, they are smile from ear to ear, enjoying every moment of it, whether it's taking an x-ray of their bear or learning about asthma care. They really enjoy what's going on here.
And you guys are doing this for what? What reason do you hope, or what message do you hope to send these children?
So the message is that being at the doctor or being at the hospital is not a scary experience. We want them to know that doctors and nurses and healthcare providers are their friends. We also want them to know that health is very important for their well-being. We want them to stay in school, to learn. Many of the students here want to become teachers or doctors when they grow up. And we want them to know that this is the first step to be healthy, to get a good education and a good job.
Dr. Goodman, this is one of my favorite stations, the asthma station. So many kids have asthma, and it can seem scary when you have to put that machine on your face. I like this one because I think a lot of the kids really get into that one.
You're absolutely right. Asthma is quite common, particularly in the inner city. And so we hear, and many of these children have asthma. So they've experienced this before. They have siblings that have it. So it's a chance for them to, then be the parent almost to their bear and help their bear through the experience of an asthma attack.
I heard one of the kids say, I have a breathing machine, so that was kind of cool to see and hear. This is incredible, and after this, they get to tour an ambulance.
Yes, the children love. They get to go into the ambulance, look around the ambulance, and just see it close, not just a siren screaming down the street. It's a chance for children to be children, but get that experience of healthcare as a friendly place.
And snatch the fear right out of the whole experience.
Absolutely.
Right. Dr. Goodman, thank you so much for being here. So Mike, Alex, and Karen, what a way to learn about healthcare. You get your bear. Now they're over here at the table where they say, hey, my bear got cut, bumped, bruised. They get Band-Aids. They get their little legs wrapped up. Next, they'll go over to the x-ray station that Greg showed you. And then they'll go around. They have the asthma station. They have over where you can listen to the heartbeat. I mean, everything that you would ever think that a kid could learn in this little short period of time, they've got it right here in this room. Doctors and nurses volunteering their time.
Oh, so great.
I
love this.
It's fantastic.
So cute. Look
Thank
at them
you.
taking care of their little bears. Oh. And the ears.
Oh my gosh. No.
No ear infection.
I love it. What a great way to teach the kids.
Well, you can't spell ear without, no, wait a minute. You can't spell bear without EAR.
And thank you, Mike, for that. We have a live look at the White House. Earlier this morning, President Donald Trump read from a prayer delivered by President Franklin D. Roosevelt as he joined other world leaders and veterans Wednesday in marking the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Roosevelt went on national radio on June 6, 1944, to address the U.S. for the first time about the Normandy invasion. Trump, with images of an American flag and Roosevelt projected behind him, read to the crowd, "Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, to set free a suffering humanity." Trump traveled to the southern coast of England Wednesday to pay respects to American service members and allies who helped rescue Europe from Nazi Germany. He sat in a VIP area with other world leaders and in between Queen Elizabeth II and First Lady Melania Trump during the program, which focused on a telling of events leading up to D-Day. Some 300 World War II veterans also attended the seaside ceremony. A chilly breeze blew off the English Channel as Trump arrived for the event, the first of two he attended to mark the 75th anniversary of the day when Allied soldiers, sailors, and airmen conducted an invasion that helped liberate Europe from Nazi Germany. Trump joined in giving a standing ovation to a group of World War II vets who appeared on stage as the commemoration began. He was the second world leader to speak following Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in the lineup. Trump appeared on stage alone and read from a folder for about 90 seconds, reciting just an excerpt of Roosevelt's prayer. French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Theresa May also delivered greetings. Before he began, Macron said, "First, let me thank you sincerely on behalf of my nation," drawing cheers from the crowd. The Queen spoke in unusually personal terms in her brief address. "When I attended the commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the D-Day landing, some thought it might be the last such event. But the wartime generation, my generation, is resilient, and I am delighted to be with you in Portsmouth today," she said. After the event, Trump visited with American World War II veterans who were among Allied troops on D-Day. He had lunch and met briefly with German Chancellor Angela Merkel before heading to Ireland for an airport meeting with Prime Minister Leo Varadkar to stay at his golf course in the village of Doonbeg, his first visit to the country as president. Trump and Merkel discussed Libya and conditions in West Africa during their roughly 10-minute meeting, according to White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. During a news conference Tuesday in London, Trump said he is grateful for the warm welcome he received from the British royal family and Prime Minister. He played down protests of his visit, describing the thousands of people who demonstrated in London as a small protest. Trump has used his speeches to emphasize a long-standing bond between the U.S. and Britain, commonly referred to as the special relationship. He noted that more than 1.5 million Americans were stationed in England in advance of the invasion. Trump also sought to clean up a diplomatic spat, telling Good Morning Britain host Piers Morgan that he meant no royal insult when he used the term nasty in discussing the American-born Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. The phrase generated a lot of media coverage, and Trump has worked diligently to explain that he was speaking specifically on her comments about him, not about her. Trump said, "She was nasty to me, and that's okay for her to be nasty. It's not good for me to be nasty to her, and I was not." He said the controversy did not come up when he spoke with Markle's husband, Prince Harry, who he says could not have been nicer. In the interview, Trump was asked if he wished he had served in Vietnam. "Well, I was never a fan of that war, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a terrible war," Trump said. "I thought it was very far away." Trump was then asked whether serving in the military generally was something he would have liked. Trump said he would not have minded at all and said, "I think I'm making up for it rapidly because of increased defense spending under his presidency." While overseas, the president's mind also appeared to be on matters back at home. He unleashed Twitter attacks on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, former Vice President Joe Biden, and even actress and singer Bette Midler. A couple of broadsides came in about 1 a.m. local time. After Dublin balked at holding a meeting in Doonbeg, a deal was struck for Trump and Varadkar to meet at the VIP lounge at Shannon Airport, hardly the grand setting usually afforded a meeting of world leaders. And more in political news this morning. In a rare confrontation, Republican senators are declaring deep opposition to President Donald Trump's threatened tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Mexico. But it's unclear that they have the votes to stop him, and Trump says they would be foolish to try. All sides, including officials from Mexico, meeting with Trump negotiators back in Washington, remain hopeful that high-level talks will ease the president away from the threat. But with the tariffs set to start next Monday, and Trump declaring them more likely than not to take effect, fellow Republicans in Congress warned the White House that they are ready to stand up to the president. The public split and looming standoff over 5% tariffs on all goods imported from Mexico revealed a fundamental difference in values between the president and his party. We're moving now to Washington, where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is speaking with the press.
You know, I signed the enrolled the legislation for the disaster supplemental bill, and really I commend our appropriators. They passed two bills in the House, one many months ago, and then another to address the additional disasters that had hit us. Finally, after much inaction, the Senate passed legislation, sent it over to us, and 3 times Republicans objected to the bill being taken up. So we're a couple weeks late, even compared to the Senate inaction, in getting this support out to the American people. In time of natural disaster, we have a compact with the American people. In their time of need, beyond their own ability to deal with it in natural disaster, we promise to be there for them. So any delay just stirs despair. They get scared that it's not ever going to happen. So it was shameful that the Republicans allowed 3 of their members to hold up this legislation for about until Monday night, when it was finally passed by the House with a huge vote. So there we are. And on Sunday we observed 150 days, this past weekend, 150 days since we've been in the majority. And I'm really excited to say that in our top 10 bills, most of which we have passed on the floor, we had the For the People Act, H.R. 1, 100% of the Democrats voted for it. In terms of freedom in our country, Equality Act, ending discrimination against LGBTQ community, 100%. The DREAM Act yesterday, Dream and Promise Act, expanding opportunity in our country, 100% of the Democrats. As far as women are concerned, paycheck fairness, equal pay for equal work, 100%. Violence Against Women Act, huge, like 99% vote in the Congress, again, affecting women, but families in general. In terms of safety, our background checks legislation, 99%. And then, of course, all of our legislation for our veterans was overwhelming and bipartisan. And then for young people, the Climate Action Now, 100% of the House Democrats. And net neutrality, important to young people, 100%. The list goes on and on. We're very proud of the work that we have done to send over to the Senate, where Mitch McConnell has said he's the Grim Reaper. It's a Senate graveyard. We have news for him. All of these issues are alive and well in the public, and he will be hearing from the public, and hopefully very soon on DREAM Act, gun safety. The list goes on. What else do we have going here now? We have, yes. While we legislate, and we're very proud of our legislation, true to our For the People agenda, lower health care costs by lowering the cost of prescription drugs and preserving and strengthening the pre-existing condition benefit, bigger paychecks by rebuilding infrastructure in America in a green, modern way for the 21st century, and cleaner government, H.R. 1, For the People Act, to end the role of big, dark, special interest money in politics, strengthening voting rights, ending the voter suppression. When we're talking about infrastructure, I want to just go back to the disaster assistance bill. I think we could consider that the first big major investment in infrastructure, building the infrastructure of our country, a very large commitment to that, including in Puerto Rico. And now today I am proud to lead a bipartisan congressional delegation to Normandy. Tomorrow will mark 75 years of D-Day, 75 years since D-Day, one of the greatest acts of heroism in history, when our military and allies deftly defied every danger, every evil, and overcame them. President Eisenhower, General Eisenhower. And by the way, if you go to the rotunda, President Eisenhower is a prominent figure there, but he chose, as per his family conveying this to us, he chose to be represented there as a five-star general. I guess more people can become president than can become five-star generals, don't you think? Anyway, we went 5 years ago and spent time with the veterans. That's our purpose. We'll go again now, spending time thanking the veterans who were there. It's quite remarkable. We have a large bipartisan delegation. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it. Any questions? Yes, Nancy.
You met with the Mexican delegation yesterday. Do you think the president's threat of tariffs is working? Are they going to step up at the border?
Do I think the president's threat? Well, let me read to you. This I found very interesting. The president, first of all, we have no paper. We have a tweet and we have a comment, but we have no paper as to whether and if and when he's going to do this. So how we respond to it will depend on what they send us. But what they did put out a statement and say, the White House released a formal statement announcing that tariffs would be imposed under the tariffs will be imposed under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. That is known as IEEPA. And under that, the IEEPA is to allow sanctions of enemies in the face of unusual and extraordinary threats, not to be imposing tariffs on our allies. That's how the White House is framing this. Tariffs to allow sanctions on enemies in the face of unusual and extraordinary threats. This is from the same President of the United States when all of the intelligence agencies and now the Mueller report have clearly said that Russia made an assault on our elections. He won't defend our country from that happening in the future. From a president who says that assault that they are claiming that Russia made on our elections is a hoax. That's not supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States. But back to your question. The meeting that we had was very respectful, praised the relationship between our two countries, made clear that we wanted to we were trying to go to yes on U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement. Our concerns, as what I've told you before, overarching enforcement. Is this enforceable? And concerns under that, A, workers' rights and how our workers are treated and how their workers are treated. Secondly is environment, not in any particular order, but we can't be for a bill that does not improve the lot of America's working families. Environment, very important concerns about how NAFTA fell short on that. And third, the pharmaceutical issue, which is very important to our caucus. So we have clarity again and again with the Mexican government over what our concerns are and how we hope to have a path to yes to get it done. But you have to have enforcement as part of the agreement, not as part of a sidebar letter or bills that we might pass in each country, part of the agreement. So we, again, reiterated actually, we were going to have this meeting, and then the news came that the president had this notion that he was going to treat Mexico as an enemy. So I don't know if that means the president wants to stop the process or not, but we do in our relationship with Mexico, want to find comprehensive immigration reform that helps address the problem, having humanitarian assistance at the border to help meet the needs of the people coming in. And again, not to be punishing Mexico, because in punishing Mexico, we'll be punishing America as well.
Does the House have the votes to override a presidential veto on tariffs?
Well, first of all, let's see what they are sending forth, and if they do send it forth. The Republican leader said they're going to stick with the president on this. I don't know how many of his members go along with that. I think the Senate probably has the votes to override. But we're not talking about override. We haven't seen anything yet, except a tweet, and then this statement of authority under which they would do this. But we haven't seen anything that we would be overruling and then going to the next step. But I think that this is dangerous territory. This is not a way to treat a friend. It's not a way to deal with immigration. It's not a way to meet the humanitarian needs at the border.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking ahead to next week and votes that are anticipated for contempt, have you made decisions about any penalty mechanisms that you would like to see? And then more broadly, are you feeling any influence from the 2020 contenders and the electorate more broadly about what they might take?
No, well, first of all, the chairman, again, I'm very proud of the work of our committees, 6 great committees, following the facts and making decisions about how we go forward. This is Judiciary Committee largely, could be more. By Tuesday, we'll see how the administration responds to the Intelligence Committee, and that we go from there. So that's going to, we take it one step at a time. No, I'm not feeling any pressure.
Madam Speaker.
And let me just address that. I see in some metropolitan journals and on some TV that we are trying to find our way or unsure about. Make no mistake, we know exactly what path we're on. We know exactly what actions we need to take. And while that may take more time than some people want it to take, I respect their impatience. It's a beautiful thing, and it's important to our country, because there's great grief and sadness and pain in our country about the behavior of this President of the United States, calling a Russian assault on our elections a hoax, treating Mexico like an enemy, attacking a woman's rights. The list goes on and on, but that's policy. Russian thing is not policy. That is either you're honoring your oath of office or you are not. But in order to go down that path, we're following the facts. We'll take them where they lead us, and as we go down that path, we will be as strong as we can be. There is no controversy or try this, try that. We are on a path. So if it gives you some entertainment to make it look like, disabuse yourself of that. This is a very, very strong team that we have working on this. We won 2 cases in court. I didn't do too much in the press. We won the Deutsche Bank case and we won the Maser case, our 2 big cases which established some precedent about the importance of obeying congressional subpoenas. But it's about the Congress, it's about the courts, and it's about the Constitution of the United States. And you have to go down a path that is accommodating to all of that and the strongest possible position to make a statement when we get to that.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to get some clarity on your tariff answer. Are you suggesting that the president's threat of tariffs on Mexican imports is just bad policy, or is it illegal by misapplying the law as you understand?
No, I'm just saying it's bad policy. The question is, though, why does the president have that much authority, and that will be questioned. No, I'm just saying that it's wrong. I don't even think it rises to the level of policy. I think it's notion mongering again. And it's really, well, let's face what it is. It's a distraction from the Mueller report. And it served its purpose, right? Here we are. Here we are.
Madam
Yes,
Speaker.
Chad.
Thank you. Good morning. On the issue of contempt next week, you know, there was debate in your caucus about inherent contempt or civil contempt. How did you get to that stage? And the second part of the question is, in Mr. Hoyer's statement, he indicated that there would be a contempt vote on Mr. Barr, who's been held in contempt of the Judiciary Committee, but it also mentioned Mr. McGahn. Mr.
Right,
McGahn has
he'll be
not been held in contempt.
Well, he'll be in the contempt.
So you're going to bypass the committee process for Mr. McGahn?
It's not a question of bypass the committee. We're working with the committee on all of this in terms of wording and the rest of it. So it's not about bypassing the committee. What it is, though, is about taking it one step at a time. It's fast. We can move more expeditiously to do civil contempt. It doesn't mean we couldn't go to inherent contempt at some other point, but you have to get started. Yeah. One more. Yes, ma'am.
You've been clear and you've recently reiterated that you would like Robert Mueller to testify. You
Yeah.
still see that as being a positive. And Chairman Adler has said the same. Is it time to issue a subpoena?
That's up to the committee. Again, what you'll have to understand is I'm a big committee person. This is the judgment that they will put forth, and they're doing the negotiation. Take it one step at a time. Hopefully he would accept an invitation to come. Hopefully, if there is a subpoena, that would be friendly and he would come. But we'll see. I mean, it's up to them. They will decide because they're doing negotiation. And what's important for people to know, first of all, I travel all the time in the country. Do you know most people think that impeachment means you're out of office? Did you ever get that feeling, or are you just in the bubble here? They think that you get impeached, you're gone. And that is completely not true. And I may have thought that myself 50 years ago. But you get impeached, and it's an indictment. It's an indictment. So when you're impeaching somebody, you want to make sure you have the strongest possible indictment, because it's not the means to the end that people think. All you do, vote to impeach, bye-bye birdie. It isn't that. It's an indictment. So you want to have the best possible indictment, going through the legal process in a way that shows accommodation, that we need to get the courts to rule in our favor because we've done it correctly and the rest. So it is the business of the committees to do that, and when they decide how their accommodations and their conversations are going, then we respect that. Yeah. And I'm very proud of them. I mean, just Jerry Nadler's been so fabulous, and the members of the Judiciary Committee. Mind you, this list that I read to you, Dreamers yesterday, what the People Act, some of that came out of the Judiciary Committee. Equality Act came out of the Judiciary. Dream and Promise Act out of the Judiciary Act. Background checks came out of the Judiciary Committee. So again, Violence Against Women Act came out of the Judiciary Committee. This is a very active and busy committee, and among its legislating, investigating, and litigating, they're doing a remarkable, remarkable job. But we're not going to investigate and litigate at the expense of our legislating. We are here to do the people's business, to make their lives better, to challenge the Senate, to take up legislation that does just that. And hopefully the public sentiment will weigh in on the Senate. I think they passed 3 bills or something since they've been there. Not a good record. But in any event, the committee, in its wisdom and experience, will make a decision. We're very proud of our House counsel. He has done a terrific job as well working with them. Thank you all very much. We're going off to Normandy right now. Isn't it exciting?
Do you anticipate speaking with the president while there?
I'm sorry?
Do you anticipate speaking with the president while in France?
I'm not sure that we'll be on the same place. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see the president. But we have over 60 members coming on the trip. So we have our own presence as the House of Representatives, and the senators will be there as well. 5 years ago when we went there, our purpose is to be thanking the veterans. Not to attend an event, but to thank the veterans. So, and they're just so fabulous and so courageous. So this was 5 years ago. So if they were 18, 19, at the time, they were around 20, they're around 89, 90 at the time. So we're talking to them, their families are there to spend the time with the families, with the vets. So I said to them, oh, just in the course of conversation, my uncle, John D'Alessandro, he died at the Battle of the Bulge. And they said, oh yeah, we went there. We went there next. And you landed at Normandy, you climbed the walls, the hills, and all the rest, and you didn't get a chance to go home. No, they just fought, because all the Bulge was months later, but they fought their way to that. But imagine their courage. Imagine the courage of these people, and they were so young. They were like babies. They're college age, not seniors in high school, some of them, some a little bit older. So we'll go to thank them. I think that in the future we may decide that we should have this every year instead of every 5 years, because 5 years will be a long time for many of them to be there. But we'll bring the good wishes of the American people in the most nonpartisan way possible. Just a trip about patriotism that we're very honored, all of us, to take, to extend the gratitude of our country. And for one of the greatest moments in history that made such a big difference, saving civilization. You cannot exaggerate the importance of that success, led by President General Eisenhower, who said if it didn't succeed, he would take that responsibility. How blessed we were with our young people, but also with our leadership, President Eisenhower. Thank you all very much.
Is Kevin Durant going to play tomorrow night?
Yeah, we'll play tomorrow.
And that is going to do it for us today at Fox 29's News Now. Be sure to catch us again tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. And be sure to follow the station at fox29.com and our newly improved mobile app, as well as across all social media channels, primarily Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest breaking news. And thank you for joining us.